Very well. For this session, we have Aleksandar Filipov with us. Aleksandar has been in the software industry for the last 20 years. He started as embedded software at Ericsson, then started moving all the way up to Android and user applications, and finally arriving to the incredible Erlang Elixir team of aeternity, where he worked with the state channel team. He also enjoyed doing some automotive programming and open source developing. And well, thank you, Aleksandar, for being here.
Hello, guys.
Hey.
Hello, good to be here. Good to be. Thank you for having me. Thank you, guys, for showing the nice demo. And thank you, Vishma, for that super nice idea he has. And it's good to have some progressive people on board.
Definitely. It's very, very important to have to have people using the technology, understanding it, and explaining to everybody. So that was great. So let's see. We have some questions here. We have one from Helmut. Is the first one I'm seeing. I'm currently looking at some cybersecurity questions, and I wonder whether an IoT device which is connected to a blockchain via state channel still needs some sort of firewall protection. Also, I wonder, considering that state channel can transmit data, how much data can they handle? And does the data have to be stored on the blockchain, or what are alternatives or off-chain storage?
Yes, I think for this I see it in the chat as well. So I guess for any IoT device, as Ulf points out, I mean, it's tricky to stay protected. That alone is, and I am from the IoT sphere as well. I did do a lot of embedded programming. I think it's, as Ulf suggests, it's a good idea to go out instead of keeping your ports open. But I guess this goes for any devices. I mean, as far as it comes for the communication with FSM, it's SSL encrypted if you do a SSL WebSocket. So you should be safe from that point of view. Then you have this question about how much data you can transfer. And I guess, I'm not sure if I understand that part of the question. I guess what you can do is send informal messages, info messages back and forth. I don't know if those are the one you're referring to, Helmut, but we do have benchmarks on those as well. And you can send a lot of information back and forth. I would also like to comment, I saw some question on the state. Well, the device, it needs to keep some kind of state to be able to reestablish to the FSM. It doesn't need all the history all the way back, but at least it makes sense for it to keep some recent states so it can reestablish and prove that it knows what's going on.
Okay.
Hope that.
Let's see what other question we have. We have one from Wiwash. Can the other client get notified at the time of channel creation using a node?
Yes. Okay. No, I mean, so you mean that, yeah, once you initiate your connection, you will need to wait for the channel object to go on chain. And that's probably the wait you're asking for. As it is now, there's no means of pushing anything to the client. I mean, that could, we don't have a solution for that, but you are free, however, to go and leave or disconnect. And then when you get back, you can check the status of the chain, of your channel, and just resume. So you don't need to actively wait for it to be open. Instead, you're free to do something else and then reestablish and resume from where you left off.
Right. Yeah. It's somehow it's related as the way I was presenting at the beginning of the track when I was saying that I'm going to buy to my usual cafeteria because I already established a channel with them. Otherwise, I will still need to wait until that channel is open.
Sure.
Okay, let's see what else we have. We have one from Dimitar. What do you think will be the off-chain transaction throughput bottleneck?
What do you think would be the off-chain transaction? Dimitar. Dimitar is one of the one of the FSM geniuses, together with Ulf. What do you think would be? What do you think, Dimitar? Let me know. Transaction bottleneck. Well, yes. Let's see, Ulf. I see it in the chat.
Okay. So when it comes to transaction throughput, I would say, I mean, one of the main bottlenecks is that when we're talking about the co-signing, the number of messages. Also, I refreshed my memory on just looking at, for example, Amazon Workspaces. When you have a client talking to some entity in their in the Amazon cloud, they try to keep the round trip time in the network below 100 milliseconds. Now, for example, if we run in a local system communicating over loopback, doing all the signing and everything on one machine, on my laptop, I can run about 50 token transfers per second and about 35 contract calls per second, if it's a very lightweight contract. Now, if you put the node or maybe both nodes in the cloud, then and crossing regions, whatever, your the throughput is going to be completely dominated by network latency and the overhead of. I think what becomes critical then is the number of messages you have to send. And I guess I could mention that when you, as Nikita pointed out, that there was a lot of traffic in the message log when he was clicking on stuff. We have the JSON RPC, the WebSocket API, does seem very chatty, which would be a bit scary if you're talking to a node in the cloud. But you can actually turn off many of those message categories so that you can, they're very nice for debugging, but if you want to get better throughput, you might want to turn some of them off and keep sort of the mission critical messages going. Networking cost is probably going to dominate in many realistic applications.
Okay, thank you, Ulf. Thank you, Ulf. You are saving Aleksandar for making the answers. Where are you, Aleksandar? You are there. Awesome.
I'm back.
You are back. We have a couple of more questions here. I have one from Marco. Do we always need EFSM? Could it be possible to perform transactions using an example of Bluetooth or other communication protocols? Does that even make sense?
Marco, yes, actually, so as it is designed, both pairs, they need to have their FSM. However, if one of the pairs can't reach his FSM, he can get it signed by other means, by other protocols. So, for instance, Ulf did mention this quickly in his presentation. You can have a co-signed transaction, which you post from one-handed post, which means that the signing can happen, let's say, using QR code or something when you're at the counter of your coffee shop. I think Ulf mentioned coffee shops. So it does make sense in that scenario. And I mean, what we've been working on a lot during the recent time is that we know that backend servers, they usually stay up with their connections, but mobile clients, they go on and off, on and off. And that's why this team have put a serious amount of work into the re-establish flow, where the FSM is ready to serve you when you're back, kind of. It's super important from a usability point of view and for handsets. I mean, there's no other way to make this happen. I think because otherwise it would be exclusive for backend to backend services.
Okay, thank you. I hope it was clear for Marco. Otherwise, Marco, feel free to ask again. I have another one from Alex. Yes, he says thanks. Awesome. Alex saying that would it be difficult to use state channels with online vendors to receive tokens that I can donate to third parties? Having oracles that check that the credit transaction has been made so the vendor can issue a preset amount of tokens depending on the fiat value of my purchase. Very simple question, Alex. Thank you.
Yes, that's a very specific question. And I think, I mean, that should all be possible to do, but it's quite an extensive use case you have going there. Because you need, you're saying oracles, you need to have insight on, yeah, I mean, why not? I don't immediately see, I mean, I think that should be doable. Just go ahead and just make it happen.
Why not?
Maybe it would be interesting, I mean, to hear more about your use case and like what you're trying to achieve here. Then it's easier to reason about it, but I don't see any hinders as such.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah. Many times for me, it's like the same, making the same questions to myself, right? I have this technology. It's like you need to understand the use case to see if what parts of the technology you are going to be using. Otherwise, it's just like I'm using the technology for a use case. For me, it's the opposite. You need to have a real because you need to justify the use of a specific technology every time.
So there were some specific questions before. If I can ask myself a few questions.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
On the back end, on the channel service with the demo, and I think I actually answered them in the chat, but I could elaborate a little. So the channel service, as such, it orchestrates channels, which means that it orchestrates any number of channels. You can have any number of clients go in there and just opening another channel, so to say. And then it's for this coin tossing demo, the full logic of that game is contained in a single file. So the backend survey, the channel service consists of a FS channel connection thingy, which helps you keep the connection alive. It will reestablish if it loses, and keep the connection alive at any time, so to say. Then you have the interactive web client, which allows you to play with the channel, so you see what's going on there. And then the third thing is that this backend manager, which is the one keeping the sessions alive with the various clients. And that's where you can find this coin toss adoption in a single file. So it should be a nice stepping stone to get started with backend services on state channels.
Thank you. Let's see if we have anything else here. We have one other one from Marco. What about watchtowers? Do you think we need them, at least on enterprise level, to manage states like different IoTs? We have Ulf competing with you on the answers.
Yes. Ulf, do you want to take that? Please do that, Ulf.
Yeah, I don't want to crash your party, but okay. So yeah, we did want to at least put in basic support for watchtowers. So we discussed what that would be. So what we did was add as an option to define a list of accounts, pub keys, that are authorized to post the kinds of messages on chain that a watchtower would need to be able to post. So essentially the chain protocol allows a delegate to, say, post a snapshot, singly signed snapshot, which would be one way of keeping you safe if you're offline. Now, what we haven't done is that we haven't actually implemented any protocols or any framework or any means actually to keep the delegate informed of the state. So for now, if you wanted to do something like that, you would need to have the client somehow pass the state data to the watchtower. I think it wouldn't be terribly hard to add watchtower support in the FSM, but it hasn't been a priority because no one has actually requested it, and we figured we would wait for some real users of state channels before going there. But I think they are certainly needed in some settings. If you do go offline for an extended period of time, there is always the risk that the other party will turn malicious on you and try to unilaterally close on a more favorable state to them and cheat you out of some money. And if no one is there to watch out for you, you're screwed, basically. So that would be, I don't know of any better solution than a watchtower in that case. So, like I said, very basic support, but at least something.
Okay, thank you very much, Ulf. Thank you very much, Aleksandar, for being here in this Ask Me Anything session. I would like to thank everybody that was here and invite you all to use Superhero, send tips to good content, and please let us know if there is anything we can do better. Use the forms on the wallet. Also, don't forget to get involved in the forum. We all know that the forum is something very important for us. Post questions there. We have our website. We have GitHub. So thank you once again for being here. We will move on. Well, actually, we stay here for the networking session. So thanks again, and let's grab a beer and do some networking now. Thanks, guys.